Hi, guys. This is my review of season 2, episode 82 of Beyond the Gates. So, there's a lot of things going on in this episode when it comes to the Jacob and Smitty undercover investigation thing. So, I'm going to start there. So, Jacob and Smitty, talk on the phone and they agree to meet up in the motel where Jacob is staying. And Jacob asks Smitty if he's being followed, and he says no. So later we find out that Joey has been having someone follow Smitty because he's a part of, whatever is going on with the plasma ring. So Smitty gets to the motel with Jacob, and Randy has been asked by Joey to follow him. He has actually had somebody else follow him before, but Joey wanted Randy to do that personally. So he follows him to the motel. Smitty goes in, and then Randy gets a call and he has to leave. He leaves to go meet with Haley. So he gets another guy to sit on the motel while Smitty is there. Okay, so when Smitty gets into the room, he has a conversation with Jacob, and Jacob tells Smitty that Grayson almost told him who his boss was at the hospital, but he got a text message and it kind of scared him a little bit, and then he left. And so Smitty suggests that they just, end the story. He writes the story with what information they have already, and then they just, end this case. But Jacob suggests that, I've been in this for a while. I put my life on the line. I want to take down everybody who is involved in this. There's more to this story, and we have to, take down everybody. So we leave from that scene with Jacob and Smitty, and then we go to Grayson and Leah. And at some point, I don't know if it was, what order it was in, but we go to Grayson and Leah. And he's telling Leah to leave Ashley out of it because Ashley doesn't know anything, and he kind of threatens her a little bit, but she laughs it off, and she tells him that there's no way out of the situation. He's in it for good, so he can't get out of it. And so he leaves the hospital, all upset, and he goes to Ashley's house. And Naomi is actually there with Ashley because she's been consoling her because she is worried about Grayson and she wants to help, but she feels like Smitty can help. And so Naomi doesn't think Smitty has anything to do with it at this point. And so Grayson shows up. He's all in a panic. He tells Ashley that she needs to pack a bag and then they need to run away together because she's in danger. And so Ashley says she's not going anywhere. And she says that the only reason why they're even watching her is probably because of him. And Naomi, says that Ashley's not going anywhere either. And Grayson says, well, your husband is a dirty cop. So then they look and he, gets suspicious and knows that they know that Jacob has been undercover. Now, Naomi didn't know what type of case Jacob was working on, but she did know he was undercover with something that could be possibly dangerous. So Grayson leaves, and Naomi calls Jacob, and she tells Jacob that Grayson was there. He was, in a panic. He wanted Ashley to leave with him. He said that there were people watching her, and he felt like she wasn't safe. So, and she also tells him that, that he showed us a picture of Ashley. Someone is following Ashley and taking pictures, and he received a picture. And so Jacob puts two and two together and says, okay, maybe that's what, he was sent, when he left him. And so Naomi tells Jacob, I know when this picture was taken because I was actually with Ashley. I wasn't in the photo, but I was with Ashley during this time this picture was taken. So now Jacob is worried about Naomi. And so Smitty is still there with them. And then when he hangs up, he gets a text message at some point during this time. And it is for him to do another job. But he feels like that it is a setup. So he's worried about Naomi. He's worried about that. He doesn't know if that's, a setup or not. So with that whole situation, I feel like it is coming to hopefully a close, because we've been on this storyline for a little while, but now it's seeming like it's getting a little bit more dangerous. There's a little bit more to the story. So we find out that Smitty is being followed by Joey. And one thing I hope with this whole Smitty being followed by Joey situation is that Martin, when Joey asked Martin if he wanted him to put someone on Smitty to watch him, I feel like I hope that Martin actually went against Smitty's wishes and put the security on him anyway after that moment. Because I don't know how that's going to play out when he comes out of the motel with Jacob. And then I don't know how that's going to play out for Jacob when Joey finds out that Jacob is undercover. So I think it's all coming to a head. I don't know if Grayson is going to make it. I just feel like he's going to be, if anybody, goes from this group of people investigating this whole situation, I feel like it's going to be Grayson or somebody, but possibly Grayson. So that whole situation, there's a lot going on with that. And I hope that we get to a place where they bring that to a close and move on to another storyline or closing up some of these other ones. Okay, so also in this episode, there's some other little small things. Vanessa sits down with Haley and she wants to know if Haley still wants to buy the property, but she didn't mention that anything about Lynette. So she just wants to know if Haley still wants it, if Bill would like to buy it. So Haley thinks that she's in the clear, that nobody's even asking about Lynette anymore. So that's why she called Randy. And then they toast and everything when he gets there. So she really thinks that she's in the clear with that whole situation. The other things that happened was Kat and Bill have a back and forth because Kat went to talk to Leah about the whole Lynette situation, and he gets upset with Tomas because he feels like Kat shouldn't even be involved in the whole situation. But then he turns around and uses the information that Kat gave him to his guy, and he says, how come my niece knows more about this situation than you? So I don't know how that's going to work out. I just feel like, knowing Kat, she's not going to be through with this. So she's going to continue to investigate. And then also the last part, I think, that I really wish would, come to an end is the Nicole and Carlton whole relationship. But I feel like they're pushing that because, I don't know, I just feel like Nicole and Ted will get back together at some point. And I think if she was with Kyle more, I think it would be more difficult for them to end that whole situation. But I think it would be easier for them to end the Carlton Nicole situation because it's kind of boring. I don't really, care for them together. So I hope they wrap that up at some point. But that pretty much, sums up everything that went on in this episode. And it's a good setup, I guess, for the closing episode on Friday. But like I said, I can't wait to see, how this whole Jacob situation is going to end. I hope it doesn't end bad for him. But I just feel like Grayson, if anybody, would possibly be the one to suffer in this situation. So that's all I have for this particular episode. Things I liked and, about the storylines and all of that. So like, comment, subscribe, and I will talk to you later.